Good afternoon. I'm Tennie McCarty. I'm one of the owners and founder, and I am the founder of Shades of Hope Treatment Center, a small all-addiction treatment center in Buffalo Gap, Texas. We've been here for 33 years. I have been in the addiction field for over 40 years and realized that drug addicts and alcoholics many times would switch addictions. And it's also born out of my own recovery from bulimia and compulsive overeating. I had eaten myself up to over 300 pounds and found bulimia to lose weight and went to treatment while I was a therapist and working in an addiction center. So what I realized that I had an addiction much like alcoholism. Instead of drinking the substance, I used food as a substance, and it is a substance for some people. And the addiction is about brain chemistry. But what I want to talk to you about today is the topic is how to not take yourself so seriously. You know, we don't have to take life serious, but we have to get off our own back sometimes and not take ourselves so serious. And how to be happy in an unhappy world. Well, when I decided on this topic about 3 weeks ago, I also do a Zoom, and that's when I decided on the topic. And then this week, when I got to thinking about the topic, this has not been an easy week, and I have not been real happy all week. So I thought, great, I can come from not being very happy and share with you ways that I use to change that and to move from being unhappy to happy. So I'll just kind of give you a little short overview of it. And if you have a pencil and paper, you might write down things that you're unhappy about. One of the things that I'm unhappy about, and probably every person on the face of the earth is the pandemic. It's a hard time for all of us, not only for the sickness, the physical part, but for our economy. So that's one thing I'm unhappy about. Another thing that I'm unhappy about, and this sounds pretty trivial, but I'm unhappy about August. I've never liked August. I don't know why I would want to do a talk about happiness in August. I live in West Texas, and it's hot and it's dry, and the wind doesn't blow much in August in West Texas. And it is probably up to 103 degrees today. And I remember August as a dreaded month when I was a kid. I grew up in Odessa, far West Texas, and this was many years ago in the late 40s, and we had a windmill for our water supply. So when the wind didn't blow, consequently, we wouldn't have water. When the windmill wouldn't work and it wouldn't pump water. And so August was a hard time. We wouldn't even have drinking water, and we'd have to haul water in. But we had a little neighbor 2 doors down that, I'll talk about that in a few minutes. What I want to talk about right now is how I hated August, and I still hate August. I don't like August. Have you got it? I don't like August. It makes me unhappy because it's hot and dry and it's hard on my flowers. So another thing that has made me unhappy this week is I passed our old house where we raised our children. When we bought the house, it was old, and then we owned it for 50 years and sold it. We had it and sold it, and so it's probably all total, the house was maybe 80 years old. So it was an old house that we had remodeled all 13 rooms, and that's where we raised our children, but we also raised a lot of hell. It was where my husband practiced his alcoholism and I practiced my eating disorder, but it was also where we found recovery. And so I passed by that. We sold the property to a Catholic church, and it's a beautiful church, and they have used that house for the nuns for many years. But I passed by that property yesterday and noticed that the house had come down. They tore it completely down, and I felt sad about that and some unhappiness. So that's number 3. Another thing that I've been unhappy about this week is that my grandson Spencer, who is 18 years old, is leaving Sunday to go to St. Louis. Folks, that's 1,200 miles away from West Texas. He's going up there to play football and to go to school. And I'm sad about that. And has made me unhappy when I think about not being able to see him every day, because I've seen him just about every day or at least every week of his life for 18 years. So those are my 4 things that I have been the most unhappy about this week. And we all can find things to be unhappy about. And what does it get us? What does it get us to feel unhappy and in doom and gloom? So what I want to encourage you is, if we can stop in the midst of the unhappiness and do a personal inventory and ask ourselves 2 questions about each thing that we're unhappy about. Just pause and ask ourselves, what am I grateful for in this moment about this situation? And the second question is, what do I want to remember about this situation? What am I grateful for in this moment, and what do I want to remember? It's because when we can change our thinking about a situation, it changes the brain chemistry immediately. And the brain, it's the greatest computer our brain is that was ever made, and it picks up when we change our thinking. It picks up that sensitivity, and the brain changes its direction, and it goes from negative to positive that quick. So I want to show you how you can practice turning an unhappy time into happiness if we ask those 2 questions. So let's go back to the pandemic. What am I grateful for at this moment for the pandemic? What I'm grateful for is the scientists and the doctors that are working diligently for a vaccination. And we've got smart people all over the world, and I know with God's help, they're going to find a vaccination, and we're going to get past this. But in the moment, we have to face what is facing us, the pandemic, and take care of ourselves. And another thing I'm grateful for is our governor here at the state of Texas finally mandated mask wearing. And so I'm grateful for that. And another thing is, what do I want to remember from this pandemic? The thing that I want to remember is how good my dear friends and my children have been to me to keep me safe. They are very particular about their mom. My children are. They lost their father about 6 years ago, and so they are hyper vigilant about keeping me safe. And also my dear friend Misty, she has helped keeping me safe, and they take me on rides. They act like I'm an old woman, folks. I'm not but 77, and I can drive myself. But I'm grateful and thankful for and when I look back after this is over, I'll remember the love and care that my children and good friends gave me during this time of the pandemic to keep me safe, because bottom line, they do it because they love me. And when I think of August and how bad I hate August, what I can think about and be grateful for August is I have water today. I can turn on a water hose and water my flowers. I can, I don't waste water. But I have a beautiful garden, and I don't have to haul water. I'm very grateful for that. And also, what I like to remember about that time is I lived in a very dysfunctional home, and I'll save that for a different time, that story, but it was very dysfunctional. But there was a little lady that lived 2 doors down from us, and I believe she knew on a certain level that their things were not very normal in our household. One thing, I missed a lot of school, and she would talk about that with me. And so one of the things that she let my sister and I do was to go to her house and take baths when we were short of water. She would also let my father run a hose from her house to fill up our water tank so we could have drinking water and water in the kitchen. But when I was there one time while I was taking a bath, she was very gentle, very loving, and I remember her handing me this big, fluffy terry cloth towel to dry on, and I thought I had died and gone to heaven. It was her loving care It wasn't the towel. The towel was a symbol of her care and love for me. And for a child that was 7 or 8 years old, that made an imprint on my heart. And here, 70 years later, it brings tears to my eyes thinking about that woman's kindness. Her name was Mrs. Duncan, and she cared for me as much as she could, knowing that things were not right in my household. My father was a very violent man. My mother was an alcoholic. And I'll tell you that story at another time. But those are the good things I remember about August. Another thing about August is getting ready for football season. Now, this year, right now, I'm a little sad about that because it brings me up to Spence leaving, my grandson leaving for college. I love football, particularly when I get to go watch him play. And he did very well in football. He made All-State, had got many honors in football, and to the point that he won a full 4-year scholarship to go play football for a school in St. Louis. But not only on his football or his athletic ability, but for his academics. He was a very smart young man, made straight A's. And who I want to commend is his parents. Those parents gave him deep roots, and now they're giving him his wings. And his grandmother's going to have to too. Although it's kind of a sad time, it is a sad time. I'm going to miss him, and I just practically start crying when I think about it. But the good news, and what I will remember, is all of those fun times that I've had with Spence, and grateful that his parents allowed me the time to spend with him through the years. And then I'm going to look forward to riding a train. I've never rode a train. I'm going to ride a train to St. Louis and watch him play ball. And I'll be up in St. Louis as much as he wants me to. I'm not going to infringe on his privacy. I will set a boundary, but I will be up there to visit him and watch his ball games when the games start in the spring. So by asking those two simple questions for each unhappiness that I've had this week, I can sit here and turn them into happiness. And that's as simple as it is. This is about brain chemistry. 99% of the negativity that we have going on in our head is we make it up. We make up crap that never comes to pass. And so if we make up the negative, why not switch it and make up the positive? This pandemic will pass. August will pass into September and early fall, and it'll be beautiful. They'll build a beautiful building, perhaps something for youth at the campus of that Catholic church to replace our old house. And Spence will have a wonderful college year, and I'll get to go see him. So that's how easy you can flip the negative to the positive. I hope this has been helpful. Remember what Abraham Lincoln said, and this was a man that suffered from deep depression throughout his lifetime, and he talked about it. And he also brought us through the Civil War, one of the hardest things that our country ever went through. And what he said was, people are about as happy as they make up their mind to be. And then I'll leave you with one other thing about happiness. Roger Miller sang and played and wrote silly songs, but every one of them had a deep meaning if you could get past the silliness. He wrote a song that was entitled, "You Can't Roller Skate in a Buffalo Herd, but you can be happy if you're a mind too. All you have to do is do it, do it, do it." It's that simple. You can't roller skate inside a buffalo herd, but you can be happy if you're a mind too. Have a great day. Thanks.